Hello, welcome to Clash of the Rams, the sports talk show. I'm your host, Jeremy Hayes, and along with me, we got Davison Perez.
How you doing, everybody?
Ryan Chevy Chevalier.
Where was Billy Cundiff last night when you needed him?
I know, right? Eric Ruzza. And our Clash of the Rams champion, Mike McMahon.
Let's go. Ready to take it home for season 2.
Yep, and that's right. It's season 2, episode 1. We're going to jump right into it with our top story, which is about the Patriots' loss last night 31-30 against the Ravens. What are your thoughts on that game and just the horrible referee performance, apparently? Davison?
Well, like you said, the referee performance was terrible. They missed some key calls that, were debatable on the progression, and I feel like it diminished what a great drive that the Patriots had, and I just feel like that the game was even on both sides. I feel that both Tom Brady and Joe Flacco had great games, but it all came down to the collapse, I feel, of the Patriots' defensive line as well as the offensive line, because just from the jump when they sacked Tom Brady, and it was just a terrible game.
All right, Ryan?
Well, I feel like you got to look at the secondary of the Pats. It was just not a good performance all game. You had, I question the time management also with the Patriots, because they weren't running the ball when they had a 9-point lead, and also they had it with the 2 minutes coming, and they didn't run the ball then. So I feel like almost Belichick and Brady get into this thing where they're always trying to put points on the board, but sometimes you just got to play the clock and then let the defense try to take over, even though they couldn't do it last night.
All right. Eric?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the officiating, because this thing gets worse every week, and we saw it last night. I mean, they called a 15-yard penalty on John Harbaugh on a bench penalty, which you never see in the NFL. Numerous penalties in the secondary. It's just like they don't know the rules. They slow down the game. There's no flow to these games. And the NFL and the officials seem like they have no urgency to get this thing done. And it just gets worse and worse every week. And it diminished that game last night. A great game between the two best teams in the AFC, and everyone's talking about the officiating today. And it's just going to get worse and worse until these two sides get it settled, and it doesn't sound like it's going to happen anytime soon.
Yeah, it doesn't. Mike?
Well, it was definitely a great game. Right until the last play. I mean, that field goal. I mean, with the whole controversy of whether it was even good or not, which it looked like it was good, but still, it's unreviewable, which is weird. Like a field goal that goes above the crossbars or that goes above the uprights isn't reviewable. That's kind of questionable. So that's one thing. But I think I want to focus on the game other than the refs. Obviously everybody talks about the refs, but I mean, it was a great football game. You look at the Ravens. Hey, man, Joe Flacco plays like that every week, and they're the most well-rounded football team in the NFL. Then they got one of the best receiving corps. Look at Torrey Smith last night. Look at what he played through with the whole situation with he lost his younger brother. And he ended up catching 2 touchdown passes. Great game. Ray Rice had a good game. And the Patriots defense really struggled with the balanced offense. Last week, we saw the Cardinals don't really have a run game. And so, the Patriots were able to, control Larry Fitzgerald. And then even though they lost, the defense played really well. This week, they weren't able to control that complete, well-rounded attack by the Ravens.
All right, I think we're all in agreement. Great game, bad officiating. I think that's all we can take out of from last night's game. All right, moving on to our next story. In hockey, which, sadly, of course, there's no hockey, so no stories on hockey, but we will talk about the NHL lockout. So, guys, can you just give me your thoughts on what you think, Eric, about the lockout and what this means for NHL?
Yeah, it just sets them back so much. That they're on this great run of building ratings, just building excitement for the game. They have the Winter Classic now, that day after Thanksgiving game, these big TV events. The game's never been better, it's never been more popular. And 7 years after they set out a whole season, we're going through it again. And it's the same problems that they've had, and it just comes from the league and the owners wanting to be a little too greedy and just not, trying to settle with the players and just trying to be all about them. And it's hurting the game, it's hurting the fans, and it hurts the sport that they built up so much, so well over the last 7 years. And now they're just going to throw it all away again.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with you. I don't think it could have happened at any worse of a time. I mean, you look at the last 2 Stanley Cup champions. You know, you had LA, which is a great market to be able to get involved in hockey. I think that's ideal for the NHL. You know, they want to get those big cities, especially the southern cities, which Bateman made such a key on to get teams there. And you know, the only thing that scares me the most is the way, especially with the Bruins, you saw GMs go out and sign guys long term right before this all happened. That really scares me because I don't know. It makes you think that there might not be an end anywhere in sight, and that really scares me. So it's bad timing for the NHL, and front offices are kind of preparing for the long haul.
And Mike made a good point about the last 3 Stanley Cup champions: Chicago, Boston, LA. 3 huge markets that generate a lot of interest, and now you're basically throwing away, at least I think is going to be a half season at least. And it's bad for the game. Very bad.
I want to, before we move on to the next topic, just a yes or no question. Does this lockout put the National Hockey League in last place for the major sports?
I think it already is in that last place. And instead of trying to keep building it to challenge the NBA or baseball, which I think is on the decline a little bit, they're setting themselves back again.
Yeah, definitely.
And
I
real
definitely
quick,
agree. I mean, if you watch SportsCenter during hockey season, you see twice as many NBA highlights as you do hockey highlights. So that's just that right there.
Yeah. All right, our next topic is about the Boston Red Sox, who have had a just awful season so far, which thankfully it's almost over. But can you guys just give me your general thoughts of the state of the franchise right now for the Boston Red Sox?
Well,
Davison?
of course, you know, the season has been a disgrace. Let's just put it
Yeah.
in the proper context. It's going to be long. The rebuilding process is going to be a long one. But now we have a lot of money. We got rid of a lot of salary cap, and sending Carl Crawford and Adrian Gonzalez and Nick Punto and all of those guys to the Dodgers. And you know, what I feel the first thing we need to do is revamp the bullpen. That's what really killed us. Pitching killed us by far, and by and large this year, pitching killed us. So what we need to do is we need to invest in a strong bullpen. Next year, we're going to have a fantastic 1-2 punch in Daniel Bard and Andrew Bailey. And what else? The DH, David Ortiz, is going to be healthy. We're going to get a lot of guys back. So hopefully we'll have a season over 500. And Bobby Valentine, in terms of him, we all know the kind of year that he's had, and I'm personally not a fan, just for the simple fact that he just doesn't know what players to talk about, and you know, it's just, I feel he should just go back to baseball tonight, Sports Center. Like,
just
please,
be honest.
just leave.
Yeah.
What do you think, Ryan?
Ryan, good.
Well, I feel like they have a lot of good prospects that I'm excited to see for next year. Lavarnway, Siriaco, a lot of these players who bring excitement to the team, but their pitching, that's what's been the problem almost all year this year. And I'm really excited if we can make a bid for Felix Hernandez in the offseason. We'll have the money, and we could also go for the Angels pitcher there. I'm drawing a blank. Zach Greinke.
Okay.
But he has some anxiety problems, so I don't think he'll be coming to Boston
Again, being
anytime
honest.
soon. But Felix Hernandez, we land him, we might become become a dominant team once again.
All right, and real quick, just yes or no, and that's it. Valentine at the end of the year, fired or not fired?
I say they let him write out his contract, because you know he did inherit a bad problem in the whole Beckett scandal and all of that. So I think they're gonna give him another shot. I think.
Ron?
I think they should give him another shot because the team just had so many injuries this year. But if there's another guy out there, which right now I don't think there is, we should maybe consider getting someone else.
All right. Honesty from all parts of the room. I like it. All right, moving on to our game segment of this week. This is a new game called General Manager of Boston. And what this game is, these 4 gentlemen will talk about one Boston team and the state of their franchise and what they can do to change to get better, or just, get better, basically.
Well, I'm going to go on the other spectrum from these 2 guys with the Red Sox. Bobby Valentine, first off, I'm not going to talk a lot about it, but he's got to go. I don't know who they should hire. I mean, it would be ideal would be Mike Scioscia, but I think he's going to stay in LA. I don't know. I hope it's somebody that I have no idea who he is, because that's what the Red Sox need right now. They don't need a big name. They went with the big name before, and it didn't work. It was a disaster. In terms of players, I think Felix Hernandez would be interesting to see them go after him. My big thing, I think it's time to trade Jacoby Ellsbury.
Wow, really?
I mean, he's pushing 30 next year. He turns 30 next September. Yeah. And, you know, he had the one big season. Other than that, I'm not sold on him. And right now, this team, I mean, I don't think they're going to make a run next year. So let's go trade him, get prospects, re-sign Cody Ross, and stay away from Josh Hamilton. If they make a run for Josh Hamilton, I'll be incredibly disappointed. This is why they traded Gonzalez, Beckett, and Crawford, to stay away from big contracts.
All right, that was cutthroat. I like that. I like the Ellsbury trade. That's a great idea. Eric, you got hockey?
Yeah, I got the Bruins. The one thing they seem to be missing all the time is that 30, 40 goal scorer that they don't have. They hope Sagan becomes that. But if they were going to make one move, I think that's what it would have to be. But I like the fact that they're signing up their core guys. They signed Sagan for 6 years. They signed Marchand. They just signed Milan Lucic. So they're keeping that core together that they won the championship with, put them together with Chara. They want to build Tuukka Rask now that Thomas is gone. But I would say the one thing they have to improve on is that guy they can go to when they absolutely need a goal, which they haven't had. Sagan, I hope, grows into that, but he's not there yet. So that's the one thing that I think they need to do.
And the lockout doesn't help.
Right, and the lockout doesn't help. They can't do anything. So.
Yeah. All right, Ryan, go ahead.
Well, with the New England Patriots, I feel like the only move they could really make is maybe get a safety, and that would be after Hernandez comes back, because they could use Hernandez and maybe get rid of Welker and trade Welker for safety, corners, something in that secondary that's going to help this team against a passing league.
Yeah, I agree. It's a solid statement. Davison, go ahead.
I have the Boston Celtics, and I feel that there's not really that much to improve on because they proved themselves last year, giving it to the Heat. But the only thing that I will suggest is that they go out and find a center, because Dwight Howard is in LA, and there's a good chance that if the Celtics beat the Heat, there's a good chance that the Lakers will face the Celtics, and they will need an answer for Dwight Howard. Either that, they can either find a center to combat Dwight Howard in the post, or they can invest in a shooting guard that if they ever choose to double team Dwight Howard, they can have a shooting guard that is a good defender that can be able to defend Kobe Bryant on the wing, because when you double, Kobe Bryant's out. And you know, everybody knows Kobe Bryant is lethal. Granted, Ray Allen left, but as far as I'm concerned, Ray Allen, good riddance.
Yes, thank you. Somebody needed to say it, finally. Good riddance to Ray Allen. Okay. Real quick, my sport, I am picking MLS for the New England Revolution. Just real quick, Robert Kraft, just go overseas and go get somebody, because MLS is definitely the bottom of the food chain.
Yeah.
We don't even consider it one of the major sports, but Bob Kraft, you can help that out. All right, next we're going to go to our interview portion where we have our special guest, Coach Nelson. And he's the Director of Athletics at Suffolk University. And we're going to send it over to Alexa with the interview. Go ahead, Alexa.
Hello, I'm Alexa Kay here with Athletic Director Jim Nelson. How are you doing today?
I'm quite well, thank you, and I'm honored to be the inaugural person to be interviewed on Clash of the Rams.
Okay. This past summer, you won for the Division III Athletic Director of the Year for the Northeast region. This was your first time winning. How did it feel?
Well, I was honored both individually and collectively, and by that I mean my feelings were that it was also an honor for all of the good work so that our coaches and our student athletes have performed over this past year. Now this recognition is by the athletic directors throughout the country, and there were 4 of us from each of the regions. And I was also thrilled to get an opportunity to meet my fellow colleagues and my fellow winners.
Awesome. You were also the men's basketball coach at Suffolk for 19 years. Do you ever miss coaching basketball?
The part that I miss the most is the day-to-day coaching. Certainly the thrill of being on the floor when there's a victory is a great thing. But the teaching aspect has long been the aspect that I've enjoyed the very most. The recruiting part has become quite arduous on that. Not that I don't think I would be up to it, but many times head coaches involve their assistant coaches in that. But again, it comes back to missing those uninterrupted 2 hours without phone calls, emails, or phone messages as well.
Mm. Well, not only were you a coach, but you also played basketball under Bob Cousy at Boston College and spent time in Athens, Greece playing. What did you gain from your experiences?
Well, most folks today just recognize Bob Cousy by his name as the longtime, or one of the longtime announcers for the Boston Celtics games. But in my youth days growing up, Bob Cousy was Mr. Basketball. And I did have the good fortune to be a Celtics ball boy when I was in elementary school, because the Celtics would practice over at the Cambridge YMCA, and I was a youth member of the Cambridge Y, so I was selected to be a ball boy for the Celtics. And for me, what greater individual than Mr. Basketball, Bob Cousy, to learn the skills of ball handling and passing. And also there was another all-star, a fellow by the name of Bill Sharman, who is also in the Hall of Fame. He was one of the great shooters of the game. And after their practices, I would stay around to retrieve the ball from Bill Sharman. He would pass that ball back to me. So later on, getting the opportunity to have a basketball scholarship at Boston College and to play basketball for Bob Cousy was something beyond what my dreams were. Relative to Athens, that opportunity came when I had been working at Suffolk for a few years, and a longtime good friend of mine, George Morges, also from Cambridge, came by and told me that he was going to be playing basketball in Athens, Greece. And I said, well, that sounds terrific. If an opportunity ever comes, please let me know. And the next year he did approach me and he said they're looking for a player. And I said, well, George, you told me that you had to be Greek, and I'm not Greek. And George said, well, don't worry about that. They will make you Greek. And when I got over there, they gave me a Greek name, Dimitri Nishotis. I had a wonderful opportunity to play professional basketball in Greece. It also sprung a travel bug in our family, because at that time I had three children, 3 of our 5 children. I had a 4-year-old, my wife and I, a 2-year-old, and a 6-month-old baby. And from that day forward, our children have always wanted to be involved in traveling, and 4 of them have been involved in study abroad programs, traveling overseas. And I did have the opportunity to visit Greece on 4 other occasions. Once in 2008, 2004, for the Olympic Games in Athens. And at that time, I had the chance to meet many of my former teammates and their adult children. So for me, Greece remains a very special place in my heart and in my mind.
That's amazing. As far as this year goes, are there any specific Suffolk sports that you have high hopes for?
I have high hopes for all of them on that. We certainly have a very dedicated group of student athletes. It takes a little bit more to be a student athlete here at Suffolk University than it would at an institution who has athletic fields or tennis courts or hockey rinks situated directly on their campus. Our athletes need to travel on many occasions for both practice and play, and I'm pleased to say that they have not allowed that to be an excuse not to be successful. This year, so far, our men's soccer team have been on a little bit of a roller coaster. They won their first 3, lost their next 3, and now they've won 3 in a row. I think they're starting to come together, and I have some real high hopes for them. They were the GNAC, Great Northeast Athletic Conference champions 2 years ago, and went to the NCAA tournament, and we hope that they will be returning to that. Some of our other sports, I certainly think that our men's basketball team with 2 1,000-point scorers will be returning for us in Matt Pepjanovich and Colin Halpin, who will be getting his 1,000-point coming up. So I have high hopes for men's basketball. Women's basketball under Coach Ed Leiden has been a real strong point for us. So they return a good nucleus, and we're looking for wonderful things for them. And in the springtime, our men's tennis team have been the 4-time defending GNAC champions, and we're going to try to do a 5-peat repeat for that. And baseball has long been one of our signature sports. They have had a wonderful recruiting year, and I think that they will have a terrific year when they come back from their Florida spring training trip in March.
That's great. Well, thank you for being with us today, Coach. This is Alexa Kay with Athletic Director Jim Nielsen. Back at you, Jeremy.
Thank you, Alexa. That was a great interview. Thanks to Coach Nelson for coming here, and we hope to have you again. All right, now it's time for our final segment, which is our most popular segment in Season 1, Clash of the Rams, the debate. Now what this is, of course, I'll explain the rules again. 2 of our guys, Mike and Eric, are going to debate about a topic, and then we judge. So now, let me read you, well, I'm not going to read you, I don't have any paper in front of me. Let me tell you the question that you're going to debate about. So guys, be prepared, and who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
Eric will go first?
Yep.
Okay. Now the question is, it's a golf question, surprisingly. Who is better for golf, Rory McIlroy or Tiger Woods? Go.
Okay. Rory McIlroy is the future. If you're talking about right now, I still take Tiger. He just draws everybody in. When you talk about golf, you say, what are you watching for? They say Tiger. No one's at Rory yet. 14 majors, over 70 wins on the tour. It's just golf, you think Tiger. And 50 years from now, when someone says golf, you're going to think Tiger,
Okay.
not Rory.
All right, so you just read off all the stats. Well, that's the past. You just said you wanted to talk about now. Let's talk about Tiger Woods now.
Okay.
You don't know which Tiger Woods is going to show up on Sunday. And, you know, he's way too unpredictable. He's getting old. He's got injuries. And, you know, if you're the PGA and you want to advertise somebody, you got to think about the future. Because in 5 years, Tiger Woods might not be around. So is the PGA just going to stop? They're just going to stop playing? No, they need somebody. Rory McIlroy is going to be that guy, so why not start now? He's doing good enough to start now. You know, I think it was 7 straight rounds under 70. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, the guy performs.
Well, Tiger won 3 times this year. So he's still capable of it. I think he's building back to that stretch where he was just dominant, where he could do it in majors and a regular tournament. Right now he's at that stage where he's doing it in regular tournaments but not majors. Next year I feel like he's going to make that next step, start competing in majors. He did it this year in the first 2 rounds at the US Open, at the British Open. He was in contention at the PGA Championship. He's just got to put those 4 rounds together, and he'll still be that guy that everybody's looking at, even in the major tournaments. I think Rory obviously has gone through a great stretch right now, so that helps your argument. But he still had a stretch earlier in the year where he missed cuts. He played erratically. He was all over the place. So he's still not like Tiger was, where he played well all throughout the year. So that's why I don't think he's the guy yet.
I think part of that has to do with McIlroy is still young. I mean, the kid's 23 years old. He's still a kid.
True. You
know, and he's got all the perfect things. He's got the long drive. He's got everything that a PGA golf fan, that the common golf fan likes to see. And the other thing with Tiger Woods is, you know, 5 years ago it was a different story because Tiger Woods was, you know, the clean image. Tiger wasn't the clean image anymore. You know, if I'm a father and I'm bringing my son to a golf tournament.
Here we go.
And I hear hear my son say, "I want to be like Tiger Woods." I'm not very happy.
The field. Nobody cares about that. When I sit down to watch golf, I don't think about, oh, what is Tiger Woods doing in his spare time. I say, I want to watch and sit down and say, wow, that was great.
Yeah,
and
but
that's
for the
what
PGA,
I think of when Tiger is out there.
But for the PGA's image, the PGA has a gentleman's image.
Do you
really?
really?
Tiger Woods is not a gentleman.
Time. I'm sorry, guys, but Davison, who do you think won that?
I'm going to have to say Mike.
Ryan?
I'm going to have to say Eric.
I'm going to have to say Eric, too, actually. So, congrats to Eric. That was a close one, though, guys. I mean, got pretty heated at the end. I wanted to add an extra minute to that because I was like, okay. All right, now we're going to go to our final statements, which is called our Ram Rant. This is new this year. Each of us is going to get 30 seconds to talk about whatever sporting event we want. So, Davison, you're going to start us off, so go ahead.
I'm going to start off by talking about Miguel Cabrera and his chances of becoming the AL MVP this season, as well as possibly attaining the Triple Crown this year, a feat that is rarely seen. Cabrera is doing nothing new in my point of view because he's been doing this his whole career, basically. For the past 5 seasons, he's hit 300 average with 30-plus home runs and 100-plus RBIs, and he's always been overlooked for the AL MVP. Mike Trout is a sensation. You know, he's young. He's doing what he's doing. But I feel that it is time that Miguel Cabrera gets the respect that he deserves, and he's having a monster season with 42 home runs and 100-plus RBIs again. So, writers out there, vote for Cabrera, please.
Okay, Ryan?
For my Ram Rant, I'd like to talk about Celtics, and Keelan Dooling was released, and he retired right after by the Celtics. And I just feel like it might not be a great move. They got rid of their backup point guard. Now Rondo's going to get more playing time, and we all know Rondo can do it. But, I mean, you're putting more... he's going to be exhausted working point guard for these games, and then you're going to you have free agency, so you could get someone like Derek Fisher, and Johnny Flynn is actually a free agent. And I heard the Celtics, from a source, might get Derek Fisher, but
from a source.
It's not right. But I would love to see Johnny Flynn as a Celtic. He has a lot of energy. He's from Syracuse, and I like him.
That would be a pretty solid move. All right, I actually get a turn now.
Yeah.
So, all right, starting right now. NHL is in a lockout. They're not the worst sport that there is. Right now, it's the NFL, surprisingly. With the referees the way they are, I feel like I'm watching WWE. There's no point to watch the players. Last night, I couldn't tell you how many stats anybody had because I was paying attention to the referees and, oh, is there a flag on the play? And if there wasn't, oh, okay, that's good then, first down. There's no fun in watching the game like that. When somebody else controlling that isn't the players, it's useless, and you have fans chanting like the most vulgar thing. It's ridiculous. It's a joke. Get the referees back. NFL's the worst sport right now until they fix it right now today. Go ahead.
Yeah, there's a couple great stats in Boston sports this week. We've had this decade of dominance that we like to call it, but the Red Sox clinched a losing season last week. It's the first losing season in Boston. There was 20 straight winning seasons starting after the Celtics under 500 season 06-07, the year before they won the championship. So there were 20 straight seasons of over 500 with the Red Sox losing season this year. Snaps that streak. The other streak last night, the Patriots were over 500 for 141 straight games, and it ended last night. That's an NFL record. The next closest team was the Ravens with 60-something wins, so it just shows you the dominance of the Patriots over the last 10 years.
All right, Mike?
All right, with my Ram Rant, I want to give a shout-out to Notre Dame linebacker Manti Te'o. He lost his maternal grandmother and his longtime girlfriend, who lost her battle with leukemia over the past 2 weeks. He opted to play at Michigan State, and he had 12 tackles in that game, and then he played against Michigan, and he had 2 big interceptions off Denard Robinson, who threw a lot of them, but still, it was a big game for him. The Notre Dame community really reached out to him. You saw everybody in the stands wearing Hawaiian leis. I just thought it was really touching to see him come through and perform so well, kind of like Torrey Smith did last night in the Baltimore New England game. It just it really makes you feel good, and my heart goes out to those guys who play through such tough situations.
That's a guy to watch out for in the NFL. He might be a big threat in the NFL. All right, well, that's episode 1, right, guys?
Yeah.
I think it went pretty good. Yeah. All right, that's all for us today at Studio 73, Clash of the Rams. We'll see you next time.